The union, to be named the BC Federation of Students, met this afternoon to establish committees.
Good evening. It was a message of congratulation and of warning. Good afternoon, I'm Tom Walters. Douglas is off today. 71 world leaders have resolved to save 5 million lives a year. The hostage-taking is now over, but there has been violence. The word from inside the building is that a police officer has been shot. For months now, Van der Zam has been under scrutiny over alleged conflict of interest. Irregularities in the sale of the Petro-Canada land first came to light in a U-News report February 19th.
Somebody got to them.
Conflict of Interest Commissioner Ted Hughes contacted us directly and said the events described in our story are, quote, something I want to know all about. Premier, what was the critical moment, sir? When did you decide that you had to step down? Just a block away, there is another shooting gallery. Here we go. We got lots of burned matches. We got a lot of empty syringe packages.
Hello.
Hi, Minister. I'm wondering if you can tell us what you're doing here today.
We're having an executive planning session.
At a beachfront resort?
They have to be in perfect balance.
And in a flawed world, who are we to question those who would strive for something perfect? Tom Walters, Global News, Vancouver.
The Rescue Coordination Center says there are no reports of survivors.
It is in the smallness of the debris that you can see the enormity of the disaster. The skates gone forever, Gretzky wore sandals to a post-game press conference. Applauded by his own and by his opponents, he left the game as gracefully as he played it. About 6:30 local time here, a helicopter took the body of Michael Jackson away from the UCLA Medical Center, but the crowds remain. Rags pass for tents, and tents pass for homes. And it's where we meet 7-year-old Jerry. Kijon, I'm not doing too badly, he says in Creole. We ask where his parents are. Dead, he says. This is a sea of need, and there is a storm of urgency. It is a crushing, grasping, desperate crowd. When they talk about overtopping the levees, this is what they're referring to. National Guard has just told us that we need to leave this area, and we believe them. This is where the battle is being fought, on the hillsides and the roadsides of Northern California. In the broken heart of Tacloban City, searchers dig for a more material comfort. Buried canisters of cooking gas. It's practical and unsentimental work, and it says much about priorities, that out of all this debris, the goal is to remove something of use to the living, when an unmistakable smell tells us this also contains remains of the dead. Through the day, people gathered in front of Buckingham Palace. All eyes and iPhones are on the courtyard. The questions of so many people about to be answered in so few words. For those who can see them, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have a little boy, an heir to the throne, a future king. The investigation into Tuesday's attack has now led here, to the covered upstairs windows of an apartment in a conservative neighborhood of Istanbul. Captain Johnson, what's the reason for ordering the press out? What's the reason for ordering the press out, sir? I'm just asking you a question. I was just asking a question, sir. Take him. I just asked a question. Some people would say I'd like to retire. To what?
I don't need the water.
You don't need the water?
I don't go in the pool. I never go in my pool.
Well, how about the ocean?
No, I don't go in the ocean either.
Now, anything that's half Cadillac, half hot tub is bound to offer a certain amount of luxury. Brian Werner says this is no joke.
Hail Satan, hail Trump.
He says he's a Satanist, and seriously thinks Trump would be good for the economy.
His tax plan is genius.
You agree with what he's saying?
Oh, yes, I agree with him.
And like the feeling Trump supporters have for their candidate, Christina likes enough of what Brian says
We have a lovely speech.
to ignore the devil that is in the details.
No speeches, no decision. It's going to be a long night and not the one the Clintons were anticipating.
No, that's for sure. And I mean, this is a room now filled with the sound of hundreds of people not saying anything. They are watching with single-minded focus these returns as they come in. It will be said that from an unspeakable act, Christchurch has lost its innocence. But there is still innocence to be found in those who don't really understand hate, when the alternative seems so simple.
Just be nice.
And as we talk about people reaching out to each other, the thought is made real. And in a moment we did not see coming, Yasmin puts her arms around me.
And the cameraman, you get one too, huh?
Also extending her arms, the woman who could not say anything
Can I get a hug too?
finds a way to say everything.
Speaks louder than words. Speaks louder than words.
Tom Walters, CTV News, Christchurch, New Zealand.